morning, church. My head needs to come down first. If you give me 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Let my head come down. Thank you very much, Pastor, for the privilege. And I'll dive right in. And while at it, everybody's going to do this with me. I'm not doing it alone. If not, there's church service. I said we should have a round chair, but I pardon you people. So we're all going to do this together. Your phones, writing material. So I'll ask a few questions just to start, right? Just to get us involved. How productive were you last year? Work, business, personal life, spiritual life, health-wise, the whole shebang. How productive were you last year? And I want you to write that down. Answer. Don't worry, we're not printing or publishing what you're writing. It's between you and your paper. But just write it. How productive? Maybe on a scale of 0 to 10. How productive were you last year? On a scale of 0 to 10, score yourself. The least being 0. The least being 0. The most productive being 10. Oh, no, it can be anything. Just pick one thing. Let's just pick one. It could be your health. It could be spiritually. It could be your business. It could be work, career. How productive were you last year? Yeah, then number 2, did you set any goal last year that you didn't get to execute in this area? Okay. Quick. Why weren't you able to execute? Number 3. Quick. What patterns have you noticed that held you back from executing? What beliefs do you have about that pattern that is currently holding you back? What beliefs do you have? I believe I talk too much. I believe I don't handle my time well, that's why I didn't. I believe Lagos, you see these goals, you can't achieve it. It's Lagos, that's how Lagos is. I believe, I can't really make it to church because, there's some things you believe about yourself that, we're responsible for those patterns. Are we done? Have you ever, who drives here? And have you ever driven from point Alpha? have you ever driven from point Alpha to point Bravo and you didn't remember pressing the brake, trafficator? You didn't remember stopping at the traffic light? Has that ever happened to you? Where you just do it unconsciously, like you are thinking, and you just realize that you're driving. Okay. So now I saw this story on social media where a newly married woman went on honeymoon. She's been working somewhere for like 6-7 years and living in the same place for like 6-7 years. Went on honeymoon, resumed work, had been having a nice time with her husband on the phone, and resumed work, just crossed the other side of the road and took a bike back to her former house. Sounds ridiculous, right? But the question I have for you today is, okay, so yes. So the question for me today, the question I have for you guys today is, what former house do you keep going back to? Why? So again, when you set goals, we don't set goals for you. So it's a goal that the person set last year and didn't execute that I'm trying to address. Yeah, so it could be in any area. A goal might have not been set in the spiritual life. A goal might have not been set in the health life. So yes, the question I have for you today is, what former house do you keep going back to? There are some things you do that you do unconsciously. What is that thing that you just keep going back to? There are beliefs that you've held in your unconscious mind that you are not even an active participant into how it became yours. Again, it's in your unconscious mind. And the funny thing about the unconscious mind is the chairman of the mind. As unconscious as it is, it takes up a whooping 95% of our mind. And imagine that conscious mind that you brag about, that used to say, do you know who I am in traffic? That when somebody, that's just 5%. So we have a lot of things that is holding us back, that is making decisions for us, that is doing things for us in the subconscious. And there's a saying that goes that unless you make your subconscious conscious, it rules you and you call it fate. So now imagine how on autopilot you have been. Imagine how not in control of your life you've been. Because what is really calling the shots for this productivity, for this peak performance that you desire, is in the subconscious. Now, I don't think anybody here is too old to learn. Let's just try and open our mind. Education's purpose is to replace an empty mind with an open mind, right? So let's just be willing to be open-minded today, okay? And it's not too late. We cannot not learn, right? We're learning every day, consciously or unconsciously, whether we like it or not. Speaking of learning, there are 4 levels of learning. You'll be wondering, we're talking of mindset of peak performance and we're talking about learning. But just follow me. There are 4 levels of learning, or 4 levels of competence. We are familiar with the word competence and conscious. Who doesn't know the meaning of competence? Competence, conscious. So now the first level of learning is called unconscious incompetence. Now I'll be repeating 2 words and flipping it. That's why I want to be sure everybody's following me. The first level of learning is unconscious incompetence, at the point where you don't know that you don't know. Case in point, before Indomie came out, you didn't even know that there was something called Indomie. Neither do you know that there was a skill called learn how to make Indomie. You just didn't know about it. In maybe places like work, or maybe as a business owner, it could be a new business owner who doesn't even realize that there's a need for a tracking system. I remember when I was doing makeup, because of how my mom used to do business, collect money, put in drawer. I didn't know there was need for structure. I didn't even know it was a thing. Even when I now it wasn't just a thing for me. It was over my head. You know when something goes over your head? So I was at that point where, and it wrecked me, right? I was at that point where I didn't know that I didn't know. Where at that stage, we lack a skill, but we are unaware of it. We make poor decisions without realizing why things aren't working. Can anybody relate to that stage? Everybody's in that stage with a particular skill or the other, right? Now, the second level of learning is conscious incompetence. Now you know that you don't know. We have seen Indomie adverts. What's this thing? Indomie, 2 minutes. How does it work? Now you know about it, but you just don't know how it works. So you are conscious about your incompetence. It's an aha moment. You've recognized the gap. It's uncomfortable, but awareness is the first step towards that change. And I don't know if you can relate to anything that we are working towards, that you can see, okay, I'm at this level of learning or at this level of competence, right? A business owner who realizes that social media marketing is weak and starts to, practice. Like what she came here to say. We are just coming to the awareness of how deep and how virality can do a lot for us. A couple of us were like, so social media is that deep. So now you're just in that awareness stage, but yet you are incompetent, right? Where a salesperson will recognize that they struggle with handling objections and, they are seeking training, right? For a business person, it could be a business owner noticing that their team lacks motivation, admits it, and is now trying to learn how to lead effectively. Now, the third level of learning is conscious competence. Now you know, but it takes effort. You now know about this Indomie. You've bought it, but as you are making it, you are checking the back for, okay, pour water. You pour. Okay, 2 minutes, put the sachet. Which sachet? Is it the left sachet or the right? Now you know of it, but it takes effort to perfect said skill, right? So you've learned the skill, but it's not second nature yet. You have to think before acting. It's not reflex for you, okay? It could be, an example can be an entrepreneur who can now create effective marketing campaign, but must follow a detailed checklist. It could be a manager who can lead productive meeting, but needs to actively remember some techniques. And, so it's just, we can relate to those levels of learning. Just follow me. And the last one is unconscious competence, where you just know and it's second nature. I intentionally didn't do a slide because I'm the slide. Get me? Beautiful enough slide? Yeah. So follow me. So unconscious competence, now you know. It's second nature. I'm driving, I'm on the phone. When at that third level of conscious incompetence, I remember one time, Tessie will come for Thursday service and just park her car in the middle. Anybody that is obstructing, reverse for me. Where at that point, you are carrying one lane from CMS to Aja. You are driving and your chest is by D. But now you're at that point where earpiece is in your ear, you're driving, you are gisting, you are even telling somebody, wait, should I send Holy Spirit to let me talk to you while you are driving? You can multitask it. You now know how to do it. A seasoned business owner who instinctively spots market opportunity. It's like a cruise. Now we are cruising nicely. Autopilot is sweet, right? Sounds like a go, right? But not always. Because there's a dangerous side to unconscious competence. And that's where your limiting belief comes in. That's where these mindsets. Because for there to be a new mindset, definitely there was an old mindset occupying that space. So, and that old mindset had been running the show for you, guess what? Unconsciously, right? And there's this thing about the subconscious mind. So someone might say 95%. How do I even know how those 95% of things got there? Your senses are daily assaulted. They say 22 million information per second. Your senses get all those information, 22 million information per second. Can you imagine? It looks almost impossible. But the truth is, what you're not conscious of, you don't experience. What you don't observe, you don't experience. You can see a lot of things we are seeing here. But there are just few things we're observing. And what informs, what filters what goes into your subconscious. Because it just feels like I'm helpless. 95% goes there, and I don't even know how it goes there. But I can't go into details of how they go there. Those are our internal filters, your values, your belief, your attitude, your mindset, your time, your memories. There are a few of them. I can't go into those details. But how does your subconscious mind filter these things? So it's your RAS, your reticular activity, is very teachy. I'm sounding teachy right now. That's why I said just follow me. Your reticular activating system helps you filter it. How does it filter it? It filters it by either of these things: deleting, distorting, or generalization. Walk with me. Deleting happens when unconsciously you remove relevant details, leading to an incomplete or misleading belief. Case in point, in this Nigeria, if you don't have connection, you can't succeed. That's a statement, right? But this person here has deleted stories of self-made Nigerians who believed their success, who built their successes without connection. So do you see how we make sentences and unconsciously we've deleted some things that should have empowered us if we had left it there? So now, this deleting is like looking at something and still can't find it. When your mom tells you, go upstairs, go and bring my glasses by my side stool, you will now get upstairs, side stool, bed, where's glasses? To your lawn. You'll be looking around. Who has experience? You will get to the door. So they will not come and say, I don't know how to look for things. You will go and she'll just come. Is this not it? So yes, that happens to the best of us. Okay, she can even testify. I think that you don't use your eyes. You don't use your eyes. And guess what? It's all of us. We choose, quite sad, but yes, case in point, men are scum. That's that house you keep going back to unconsciously. Those beliefs you keep having about yourself, about a situation, about this person is deleting examples of responsible, loving men that focusing only on bad experiences. Like when people come online and say, marriage, they say, your parents have been married for 30-something years. You not use that as example. It's the one online that is not going well. We are choosing to delete some. And you know what is holding us back? It takes power away from us. That's a mindset. Right? If you don't travel, you can never make it. How about now? I don't have to explain that one. How about now? Number 2, distorting. This occurs when you alter facts to fit a certain perspective, often exaggerating negatives. Although the same event happens to many people, they will interpret it differently. I thought this was a joke until it happened right in my eyes. I had a client. I had a strategy session with her last week, and I was in her house, and we realized that she had this very huge phobia, crazy phobia, like it was holding her back. And we did a fast phobia, and she got over it, right? And her kids came back from school, and she was telling her kids that, can you imagine this, that had happened? She even took a picture, like imagine if it's, case in point, a phobia where she can't even see dogs. Like you can't even have a picture of a dog. Like, is that annoying? And maybe we had to do something, or she had to do a work, and the person had a dog, and the client meant a lot to her, and she wanted to get over that phobia. And we did a fast phobia. And her neighbor had a dog. And she said, okay, let's even try if this thing works, right? And she went, and she's like, okay, I can take a selfie. And she took a selfie with the dog. And her kids came back from school, and she showed the pictures to her kids. They didn't believe it. She called her sister, and she was like, can you imagine? I took a picture with a dog. So I was like, hey, it's a dog now. Yes, now it's when dog beats you when you were smaller that I stopped liking dogs. Dog beats me. The sister deleted that whole entire story. The sister didn't remember that a dog beat her ever. And from the dog biting the sister, which she deleted to save herself. Well, your unconscious mind does some things like that for you. Traumatic events, they delete it to protect you, right? Sister deleted that. She remembered it differently. That was holding her back. She almost lost the client because she was going to work with the client, and the client had dogs. So you see how distorting things is real to people, right? But now this is a case we can all relate to. If I fail in business once, it means I was not meant to be an entrepreneur. If I'm not married by 30, it means something is wrong with me. This person is distorting marriage timing as a measure of self-worth. The first case where I said if I fail in business, it means I'm not meant to be an entrepreneur, distorts failure as a permanent thing instead of a learning process. Where someone say rich people are wicked and corrupt. You know those your rich uncles when you were growing up? Now you are them. How far? How far? How many people have you sent money to? How many people have you paid school fees for? How far? Okay. Moving on. That person distorts wealth as something that comes only from dishonesty. The last one, because of time, generalization. This happens when a single event happens and limited experiences are used to define. This happens when a single event or limited experiences are used to define an entire reality. All Ijebu people like parties, are stingy. Igbos like money. Well, I do. But you get me. Church boys are boring. I can't do business with church people. You know, you can't make money without cheating. All Nigerians exploit their workers. Generalizing from bad experiences just to assume that all, you know. And when you want to catch yourself or call yourself out, look out for words like all, never, always. They are words, right? And it's the thing about these things, this is why we're pointing them out is it holds you back. It disempowers you. It takes power away from you. It means that you are no more in control of your experiences. It means that those things that you're saying, I don't have a choice, is controlling you. How weak, right? Once you're above 40, it's late to start something new. Generalizing age as a barrier to learning and success. Once you fail JAMB once, you're not intelligent. Oh boy, should we start? Should we start? This process can be used, either to empower you or disempower you. Your mind is constantly running familiar patterns without your conscious inputs. You see why I asked that question? What's that house you keep going back to unconsciously? Now, imagine if your business decisions, your career choices, your role as an employee, and even your personal growth were on autopilot. Do you think you'll be in control? So now, unconscious competence can be a good thing, but can also be a bad thing, right? So now, let's go back to that list that you wrote. Who is free to give me an example of a belief that held them back? Who wants to share? Okay. What belief held? I think that mic is working. Oh, God. Oh, God. She just lied on God right there. The reason why she didn't achieve a goal last year was that God understands. He will take control. Do you see how? What is also not passed by? Do you see how we relinquish control and we relinquish power? And that mindset is driving us. Who else wants to share? I don't trust you, but there's just too much to do. Now that looks legit. Every belief we have there can be justifiable. You can take it to court. You can prove it. But again, it's holding you back. If you're not achieving what you want, Alaye, you are not a tree, move. You get me? Now, we're not leaving us here where, okay, now that we have all these beliefs, what do we do with them? So I'll just go straight because I think I'm almost wrapping up. I'll just go straight into it. If your limiting beliefs are running on autopilot, how do you take back control? Number one, identify the pattern. What did I say? Is it clear to us now? When you wrote that thing, did you identify a pattern? Buki, did you write it? Did you write down the pattern holding you back? So yes, you might have to go back to that goal that you didn't achieve, find out why you didn't achieve it. Ask yourself, what patterns held you back? Time management, whatever it is. Identify the pattern. Ask yourself, what are the things I believe about myself, my leadership, my business, my career, my professions that might not be true? For the longest time, I ran away from speaking in public because I felt I stammer. I realized I stammer. Not like I realized, of course. It was just, I made it the only truth. And I deleted other things that stammering was not the only reason why people are good at speaking, or whether stammering or not stammering. I deleted informations like they are good public speakers that were stammerers. I deleted informations like the value coming out of my mouth, the stammering did not reduce the value. So there are lots of things that we are deleting, distorting, generalizing, that is holding us back. So go back, ask yourself, identify the patterns, and ask yourself questions. Example, I'm bad at sales. Is that a fact or just an old belief? Right now, my daughter has a husky voice. And I realized how bad mine must have been growing up because my auntie told me I had a husky voice. So when I was in school and they put me in cultural dance, and I came back home, I was raving about, they put me in culture. What do you want to sing? That your voice is husky. Since then, you cannot see, I didn't want to be in front of mic. That singular sentence stuck in my head. So imagine how conscious I am to make my daughter believe that, that husky voice, we are making money with it. Because I don't want it to hold her back. So ask yourself, question, identify that pattern that is holding you back. Number 2, challenge it. Where did this belief come from? Same way I challenged mine. I sat down and I then asked myself, about this, my auntie, what am I pretending not to know about her? That she lies at times. Yeah. Yeah, that was what it was for me. Challenge the belief. Who told you it was true? Now, what are the evidences that you have that it is false, not that it is true? Because if you say there's no time for it, what are the evidences you have that really there's been time when you've planned for something and you got it done, where you were good at time management? So challenge evidences to prove that this belief is false, not that it's true. Because everything, if you want something to be done today, there will be evidence that is true. So challenge it. The first one, identify the pattern. The second one, challenge it. Then the third one, rewire it with conscious effort. Move from an unconscious limiting belief to a conscious new belief, where you start from awareness, where you didn't know that you didn't know, right? Now you know. What will you do about it? And go through that process of learning till it becomes the next nature, like your limiting belief, okay? An example of a person that said, I'm bad at sales. It could be replaced with, sales is a skill I need to develop. Do you see how that's more empowering, right? I remember one time I was speaking to one of us on phone, and it was a very, very sweet conversation. And in between, he just said, I was just reading that day, and I'm a slow reader. And take a break, pause, dial it down. I won't just let you pass. Once, if you have conversations with me, a few people will know, if you make a sentence that's a limiting belief, I won't let it slide. No, I won't. We'd rather not conclude than have that linger, right? So he said, I'm a slow reader. And I questioned that slow reading. How do you know you're a slow reader? Who told you you're a slow reader? When you read slow, what are you trying to gain? So, we challenged it. And we realized he then reframed from the many conversations that we had, I'm a detailed reader. Now, that's more empowering. That doesn't even slow you. It doesn't, there's a weight with limiting belief. So he called me I think a week or two after. If you know how just saying I'm a detailed reader has changed things for me. So now when he's reading with, I'm looking out for details, consciousness of the new belief. Now it might be slow at first, but if you keep at it, you become unconsciously competent at it. Okay? So at first, it will take effort, but soon it will become your new conscious competence. Leadership, even doing life on autopilot is dangerous at times. It keeps us stuck in old patterns. So the key to breaking free, move through your levels of competence, change your limiting beliefs, rewire your mind to operate from an intentional competence. My name is Ifeoma Adefemi.